Well, I hope maybe the former speakers would go overtime enough to where we would have wore those guys out. Oh well. First of all, privileged to be here. You know, this is the part I like about running for an office the most. You know, in 14 years in the legislature, I've always said the best part of that is the people that you meet and the quality people you get to work with. I will get right to the point. The decision that we made to run for the U.S. Senate was not an easy one. My wife and I spent over a year contemplating and having conversation with our kids and our family and praying. And so we really wanted more than anything to do what we felt strongly we were called to do. And in that decision-making process, we spent a lot of time contemplating what was at stake and what was to be gained or lost by that decision. You know, I will say, I have my wife Sandy is with me tonight. Thanks for being here, Sandy. I'm on the original ranch that my dad put together when he came back from World War II. My brother, just a couple miles away, lives on my granddad's homestead, original homestead that he proved up on when he came back from World War II. I say that because our roots go very deep in South Dakota, but so does our history of service to our country. And just like my grandfather and my father, I think I felt a call to service. And I think in this of all arenas, I think our country is at greater peril at this point in our history in many ways than we have been in our history of our country. We have a nation in peril. We have $17 trillion in debt and an unbalanced budget. We have a judicial branch and an executive branch and a legislative branch that share the blame. We have out-of-control agencies like the EPA, who I believe should be, the agency as a whole, we should consider repealing it. Short of that, I think at the very bare minimum, that agency needs to be brought under legislative oversight when they have passed major regulations. They've been allowed to legislate via regulation. So, as I contemplated what our next senator from South Dakota should look like, I boiled it down to 4 points, and I'll go through them quickly. First of all, I believe, above all else, it should be a man of integrity. My stock in trade, or any person's stock in trade, is the ability for people to look you in the eye and know with absolute certainty that you speak the truth. Second, I believe they should possess conservative values. And we'll talk more on that if I have time, but conservative values are the values that this country was founded on. And too often we lose track of that fact. Third, backbone. The next senator from South Dakota has to have strong moral convictions and the courage to stand by those convictions. And last of all, none of the former three mean little if you don't possess the leadership skills to bring people together and foster communication. I want to save just a little bit of time to talk about recent events, specifically the storm in October, because it's really brought some things to focus for me in the months since that storm. Because what I saw after that storm was the values and the principles come out of people that our country was founded on, and the principles that make South Dakota the best state in the nation. And I think those principles were also reflected right here in the midsection of our state a few years ago during the flooding. Because after the storm, and in the months since, I have yet to receive my first call from a rancher wondering when government assistance was going to arrive. And in the midsection, much the same, after the flood, what did people do? Did they look to the federal government, the same government that created the problem of the flooding, to resolve that problem? I've talked to people that took off their suits and ties and put on their work clothes and went to work. Ladies and gentlemen, that's what I see in this race. A return to those values, the values that are embedded in the very fabric of South Dakotans. Values that made this country great, and the values that will make our country great again. That is why I'm running for the U.S. Senate. We need to restore those values, and we need somebody that will go to D.C. and fight on your behalf to restore those values. I ask for your support in that endeavor. Thank you.